Hey movie fans, welcome back to After the Credits, where we break down the latest and greatest movies, including our favorite scenes, quotes, trivia, and even how we think it should have ended. Grab a bowl of popcorn and enjoy the show.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to After the Credits with Tyler and Dylan. Coming from a different... I feel like we have a different dungeon every episode that we record.
Well, that's because the dungeon is in renovations.
But it's close.
To flooding.
It's close. It's almost done.
It is.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. But yeah, we are coming at you this time from the Malvern Manor, having just watched the 2015 remake
American
of
version
Martyrs.
Fucking America.
Finally
America does everything better.
I mean... but yeah, finally giving into Rob's threats and demands and physical threats of violence to watch this violent movie. And you know, I hadn't watched it in quite some time before tonight, and it's a good movie. It's just like, it's not as brutal as, you know, the original, but it's still a good movie with a pretty original story. If you think about it.
Yeah.
But so, and the main reason we did this was to get your raw reaction of what you thought of the movie.
My reaction.
Yeah. So what do you think? What'd you think?
I mean, in a general sense, it was okay. Here's my problem.
Don't say that next to Rob. He'll start crying and
I watched your butt pucker.
Right. No, it was a good movie. The analogy that I used was, I mean, this was a whole event. This was Martyrs' lights, camera, apparition at the infamous Malvern Manor. It's haunted. Like, there are ghosts here.
Right.
There's 205 like documented, proven deaths in this building.
I didn't know that.
205.
I feel like you're making up a number.
I'm not. Can anyone vouch for me? Anyone else?
The Heartland Darkland girls are gone. Josh is gone. So
yeah.
I'm inclined to believe
you.
you.
Hear Josh say it?
Thank you. Okay. All right. Okay, then. I apologize.
I told her to agree with everything I said.
Did you hear that too, Latasha?
But I mean, the whole thing, and I've said it a million times, was we're going to do Martyrs, and we're going to get my live reaction. Where's the scariest place that I could think of? And it's right here. I mean, there's a whole production. We got the other podcast, Heartland Darkland, on. I mean, we have half of Whitmore, which makes it weird more, right? Yep. Is that right? Okay.
More.
Yeah. And we've been planning this for...
Yeah, I was gonna.
How long?
Yeah, I was gonna say
October, November, December, January.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you're listening to this and it's taking you by surprise on what we're actually doing, then you haven't been following the Facebook page, the podcast, anything that we've been doing for the past like 3 months. So.
But I've had that much of time. Plus, I mean, the whole thing has been built up for a year. When we first had Whitmore on, when we did those episodes, go listen to them.
Well, even
Studio
before that, because we had talked to Heartland Darkland before that about getting together and doing something in a haunted
all the
place.
Puzzle pieces, but the Martyrs aspect of it is a solid year. I think it was February 1st when you guys came over to record to promote the Shamrocks, or not Shamrocks. I don't know why I said Shamrocks, but the
Dr. Jack's, the Garage Fest.
No, before that. It was before that. It was the St. Patty's Day show at the Pet Gallery.
Yeah, the Pet Shop.
I mean, that's the show that we were talking about.
I did the Tenacious D intro for that one. That's what I remember, yeah.
But anyway, that's when I started learning, like, someone's going to punch you in the face, and I started being able to block for it, you know?
Okay.
And that's what I feel like
with this movie?
the movie Martyrs did.
Okay.
Like, I knew someone was going to punch me in the face, so I was braced for it.
You were ready for it.
And so I think a lot of that shock value.
If I wouldn't have had such a build-up to it, then it probably would have been a little bit better for me. But I was already thinking, oh my God, this is going to be blood and shit dripping from the chandelier.
Right. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Exactly.
I didn't get that, but I will say about the last 20 minutes of the movie was really good.
It was pretty crazy. Yeah, for sure.
And that's what I heard someone else say. Benito, it was you, like. Because you've seen the original French version, and
you have? I didn't know that. Okay, cool.
And he said like about the last, third of the movie is like where it starts getting good,
right?
But overall, I liked it. I liked the visual aspects of it. I liked where I mean, she was like hung up on a cross, and you made the joke like that's a bit on the nose.
I'm like, it's pretty fucking on the nose,
right?
Jesus.
And then like the eyes rolling in the back of the head, like and I liked the idea that, and here's the segue, the surprise that I didn't know I was gonna get was the premise of the movie was someone's gonna die, like in between. There's that short little gray area between life and afterlife where they're kind of in limbo.
Right.
And God damn it, I want to ask some of the people upstairs, some of the spirits, is that a thing? I mean, those
Something
are
you
questions.
can do. You have the option to
this
do that.
movie, it got me thinking, and that's what I'm doing out loud, live.
Yep.
I mean, I'm just it got my fucking brain going, and I don't know I got questions. I want to talk about this shit.
Yeah, no, I feel you. This is my father, by the way.
Hello, Mr. Barnes.
Hello. Kind of reminds me a little bit of some of the old movies that you always see where there's a group of people that live out nowhere in middle of nowhere.
Like Wrong Turn and
Wrong Turn,
Last House on the Left.
Massacre, all those. And
Hills
all
Have
these
Eyes, yeah.
people lived
Hills Have
out
Eyes,
there.
that's one,
So
yeah.
I literally thought when the little girl ran and she found the farmer out there, that he was going to be one of them.
A part of the thing,
Yeah.
He's the one that called the police at the end of it. But
Right.
I thought he was going to be a part of the whole thing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been shocked if it was.
So.
Right. Cool. Yeah. So we got for the directors for this the first time, and I say directors plural. We've got Kevin Goetz and Michael Goetz. Are they Rob? Are they brothers? Are they family members? What is it? I'm assuming because of the same fucking last name. Oh, the expert of Martyrs doesn't know about the movie Martyrs. But yeah, they directed it. It was co-directors.
Either does the host of a movie review podcast.
Yeah, which I should probably have.
That has access to the internet.
Right. Yeah. So this came out in January. Well, it was January 22nd of 2016.
Okay.
With a really low budget for a 2016 movie of $1 million. It was made.
No shit.
Yeah. I mean,
That's impressive because the amount of gore that they had, specifically in the last.
to be fair,
half
that's
hour.
really cheap to do. That does not cost a lot of money to do.
I don't know, to make
practical.
a big metal fucking cross and to hang someone up on it and to flay someone.
Give me like $200 and I'll have you one in like a couple weeks.
Hell yeah.
It'll be a prop for the dungeon. God.
Right.
But so yeah, a really, really small budget for a movie like this, but it was more made for, from what I've read, it was more made for festivals, film festivals and stuff like that. It wasn't meant to be a giant, massive release in movie theaters. And like Rob said before we watched it, it's still banned in a few countries. I think it's like 6 or 7 countries, something like that. Opening weekend, it didn't do so hot with $52,767 made, so not good. And then gross worldwide, it didn't even make back half of the money that it to date that it.
What does that equate to, like other film festival type movies? I mean, do film festival type movies make a lot of money?
I mean, you're talking like Little Miss Sunshine.
right, yeah.
Like honestly, a lot of the. Parasite was one. It won an Oscar. It made stupid money. Everything Everywhere All at Once was another kind of festival type film. So yeah, I mean, usually the ones that get popular, the festival films that get popular make good money because they get nominated for shit and everything. So
that makes sense.
It did win a couple awards at those festivals. Martyrs did. Which is kind of cool. And I'm assuming they were, horror themed or, like thriller themed festivals for movies, but, it
2015's best family movie.
Yeah, no shit. Take your kids to the theater to see Martyrs. But yeah, it only grossed under 400,000 worldwide, at the end of everything. So it didn't make much money at all. So I guess
you kept, and I don't know if we're gonna post like the live recording of it or not, but you kept saying like, "Oh, I know this person. I know this person."
There were only
Did
two.
you find it out? Did you find out who?
Yeah. So the guy Toby Huss, he was the guy that was telling her to open her eyes when they were shocking her. So I originally thought, and I was corrected. I originally thought he was in American Horror Story because he looks like the guy he was like the burn victim in season 1, and then he was.
Yeah, who would know?
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. So I said that
she's the resident American Horror Story expert.
Yeah. Josh's wife is the one that. Yeah. So I looked up and I was like, American Horror Story, right? She's like, no, shut the fuck up. So then I had to look it up, and I remember him as being I believe a gay meth head from Reno 911. Was what I had seen him in before. So a real weird pull for me that I knew that. But and then
Latasha, come up here, because who was the one chick? Who was that? Because you said you saw her in something somewhere on a thing.
The main character,
Aunt Anna.
Troyan, is the actress's
Yes.
name. She's from Pretty Little Liars.
Okay.
That's why I don't know that. It's because it was Pretty Little Liars.
And Pretty Little Liars, is that in the same genre of Martyrs?
Same, is basically a remake.
Okay.
From what I've heard.
All right. So she was typecasted, is
Yeah.
what you're saying. Like, just play the same
There's a French
character
version
and
of Pretty
fucking
Little
everything.
Liars. Yeah. No, it's. But yeah, so and then the girl Bailey Noble, who played Anna, she's also, or Anna, I guess, however you want to say it. I'm gonna say Anna because fuck you. But she was in. I've seen her. Yeah,
After
yeah.
the credits,
It's
folks,
actually
you don't
Anna
go
from
for
Frozen,
actress.
so that's crazy. But she's been in a couple other movies, and I'm having trouble with IMDb loading right now, so I can't see what it was. But she had a very familiar face. If anyone else recognized her or knows what she was from, please tell me. But yeah, please tell me. Anyone in this room, but I doubt it. But yeah, I mean, these were all. I mean, given that it's a festival film, usually you're not getting like A-listers in that movie. So yeah, I mean, the only two, I guess, since Latasha knows one of them, the only two I knew were, I guess it was, what was his name again? Toby Huss. And you're looking it up now.
Yeah, I have the power of the
Go back
internet.
up. Go back up. You passed it.
What do you want to see?
This is quality content.
Yeah. it
Bailey
is.
Noble, her.
Bailey
Anna, right there.
Noble.
Click on that fucking picture.
This one right there.
Yeah, so she was also in. Watch me have like not know who she is at all. Criminal Minds, The Rookie, Law and Order, True Crime, The Elvis Room.
I've never heard of any of these movies.
Yep, neither have I. She just looked
Or
familiar.
no,
Maybe that's
most
why.
of them are TV shows.
Oh,
and
are
that
they?
makes sense.
Okay.
Is that, like a film festival type movie would
Right.
get not a Hollywood.
Like I said, not A-list actors for it.
movie
Yeah,
type actress.
Right.
Actor.
the show Lucifer, True Blood. Yeah, so we're just gonna go with I don't know who that person is. So yeah, I mean that's really the only actors worth mentioning at all in the movie. Did you want to talk about some scenes?
Say hello to our favorite scene.
And now, our favorite scene.
That were enjoyable. Had people come up and tell what scenes they enjoyed from the
Yeah.
film.
Yeah. Well, before we do the scenes, I do want to ask Rob one question.
Oh, God damn it.
I'm sorry. Rob, I want you to come up here
Knock
and I
your
want
cute
you to
little ass up
tell
to this mic.
everyone and the microphone why Martyrs? Like what is it to you? Tell me why.
Because he's a sick individual. What do you? He falls.
sick, boy.
He falls asleep to the. Not that type of sick. He falls asleep to this movie.
It's true.
Which is respectful. I feel that.
As we have Saw playing up
In
on
the
the
background.
fucking projector.
Yeah.
Is that what's on right?
That was for
Yeah.
Josh. I did that for you. Yeah, you're welcome. Nice. Was that when we ran into each other in the movie theater after recording with each other the day after? It was right around that time. Yeah. You're like, I need to watch a good Saw movie because the piece of shit I just saw in the theaters, I need to. Yeah.
Palate cleanser. Yeah.
Yeah. Same.
So Rob, tell us, like why Martyrs? Why were you so infatuated with covering this? Having after the credits review Martyrs. Why?
Gore factor, because it's that shock and awe where a lot of people don't like it because they're like, oh my God, it's so gross. I'm sitting there like, that's so fake. None of that.
Right.
And that's part of the thing that I like about gore in general. It's like, oh, how did they practically make that look so realistic? Like that's what it's not
Sam
it's
Raimi versions of things.
right, exactly. It's not like out of a sadistic enjoyment of watching people be dismembered. It's like, how did they make that look in a movie so realistic?
How'd they take the skin off that person's
Or
back?
yeah, right. Or in the same aspect, like how
Also,
did they screw that up and make
me
it look so
hungry for
bad?
Beef jerky and bacon all
At the same
right in
time.
the movie.
Right? Yeah.
But yeah, Martyrs is one of those movies that plays with a lot of psychological aspects. When you go through, like, in the beginning of the movie, Dylan was like, there ain't nothing
Yeah.
messing
None
with my
special.
head right now.
Yeah.
And then you go through the movie and you're like, was she batshit crazy or
Right.
am I batshit crazy?
It gets you to flip flop a few times before finding out what's going on.
Exactly. And so the movie itself had like a lot to me at least. There's a lot of calls to like the supernatural, to psychology,
trauma,
to just
religion.
Yeah,
I feel like religion's got a lot to do with it.
Regardless if it's like the atypical like Christian or Judaism or
right.
whatever,
Yeah, afterlife.
I think it's just a very broad stroke of religion, period.
But with the name Martyrs, you kind of have to
Right.
clarify on that one. So there is that, but then of course the horror aspect of it, because I like to put myself in the movies. Like I like to sit there and think I'm inside that movie, viewing it as like third person, you know?
Okay.
So when I'm in there, I'm like, oh my God, this is messed up. Like, why would these people be doing it? And it shows like the how much humans are pieces of shit.
For real.
In a general sense.
In a general sense. Everyone here is cool.
Right. I've always said that like persons are okay, but people are not.
Well, and I think that's one of the reasons why I get so like wrapped into movies more than most people that I talk to. It's because when I watch it, I try to emotionally put myself into the film, and with movies like this, it makes it more like emotional and more impactful to watch it and put yourself like, what would I feel like if I was getting drills through my, body and like what, like, it makes
to put yourself in their shoes without putting yourself in their shoes.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, this like, there's a lot of memories associated with the original one for me, because I was working at a movie store when it first came out. So I was like, okay,
nice,
let's try this.
Yeah.
And then watched it for free because I worked at a movie store.
Yeah.
As
you
one
had
does
access
who
to
works
it,
at
yeah.
movie stores.
And then it was like middle of the night, and the house that I grew up in, which was notoriously just creepy as fuck, watching it in the basement, and I'm like, nope. What's that sound coming from the vent? It was a bat.
Yeah.
A bat that flew into the vent.
And then there was no turning back. You're like, I'm watching this every month for the rest of my fucking life.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I want to get that bat back, so I can have a little,
So you've been chasing that high ever since.
Yeah.
I've been chasing that bat.
Cool. Well, thanks for letting us know the reasoning behind why you enjoy the movie so much.
While you have the microphone, what is your favorite scene of this movie?
Ooh, I want to know this.
If you had to pick a scene from this movie, which you do have to pick your favorite scene.
Go through all the scenes.
Well, we're on a time limit, so.
I think the first shotgun blast is the best.
Yeah. Very Quentin Tarantino-esque.
Open the door.
Yeah.
Very Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah, well,
Gunshot fly across the room.
You've also seen the original, haven't you? Yeah. So that was very like 2015 version. Very tame in comparison.
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
All right.
Limbs blowing, guts everywhere.
That's a good one.
You get one more. I know it's hard to whittle it down.
Yeah, I'm really struggling to whittle it down.
I'm gonna say mine while you think of yours. My favorite scene, like the one that really got my fucking gears going, was when it was when Anna escaped and she was fucking going back in for Lucy, and she was just like fucking John Wick fucking style, like just fucking massacring.
Yeah, that was pretty sick.
Like all the guards and the fucking the doctors, whatever the fuck.
Yeah, that got
like
the biggest
on her
reaction
way
in the
back
room
in.
as well.
Right.
Everyone in here was like, "Fuck yeah!"
Right.
Blow his head off.
Because at that point they had spent so much time building up, like learning about these characters, so you're emotionally vested into it, and like she good, they bad, and she's like just doing it in the most brutal way possible.
Yeah.
Which I mean, out of that section of scenes, like the top one, probably the fucking shovel to the throat.
That was cool.
I mean, because like how you have the little foot pegs on the shovel.
One of the best kills of the movie, honestly.
Yeah, to like stomp your foot down to like get an extra 2 inches down. It felt very reminiscent, and also, fucking like doing that to someone's throat was kind of like
Brutal as hell, dude.
Yeah.
So mine was because those are great. Those are all great scenes. They're awesome and impactful to the story of the actual movie itself. But I like and it's not only visually cool, but like the commentary of her fighting off her demon, which is a fantastic metaphor for her trauma that she's trying to get over. And it's a turning point in the movie too, because you're like, oh, there's an actual like fucking demon messing with this girl that's attached to this girl, and then Anna comes in and sees what you think is going to be this demon smashing her face to this table, and you realize it's just her beating her own head on the table, which is like, oh, she's like her trauma is her past. That's the demon. She's trying to get over and deal with all the torture and shit she had to go through when she was younger, and it's not an actual physical humanoid demon thing. It's her own past issues. Yeah. And no matter what she does, and no matter how much revenge she tries to enact, that's never going to go away. That's not going to solve the problem of her demon following her around. Right. So when I saw that, I'm like, that's a cool metaphor to talk about, and bring to light someone's past trauma and how they struggle with it still every day.
Right.
So.
Because at that point, I think a lot of the movie was still question marks,
right?
And that was one of the first answers that we got.
Flip flop, yeah,
right.
So the scene that I'm going to say is probably one of my favorites is actually not a gory or horror scene. It is the moment that Anna finds the
little girl
ladder.
Oh, okay.
Where you're like,
and it was
shit.
Like at that second,
I told Dylan,
fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Like she's crazy, but she's like,
she hasn't been making every single thing up.
Exactly.
Right.
It's like she hasn't lied this entire time, and everyone was like, there's no such thing as whatever. And
there's no such thing as monsters and shit like that.
When that popped up, when she found the ladder, I went into the mic and I was like, so from here on out, Dylan, like it's about to be wild. Like it gets pretty crazy from here on out. And
I mean,
and it does.
The beginning was very like,
it was building a story.
No one. I don't know. I was on Team Lucy because obviously her friend came over there to help her, and she's not going to go over there to help her unless she seriously thinks that something's not right.
Right.
But then she starts to flip flop and not be a cool friend and start to do her own thing, and she starts to have her doubts. And then at that moment she sees the ladder. It's like, I think I kind of fucked up. Like maybe I wasn't a good friend.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Like, oh my God, she was right.
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy. So
I mean,
it's a good
Martyrs goes through friendship, goes through trauma, goes through
loss,
goes through religion, goes through blood, guts, and brains on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
It does. It checks a lot of boxes.
I was talking to Isaiah and Taylor outside about it. Taylor, Isaiah's girlfriend, about all the different things all the different check marks that this movie, checks off. And yeah, you're absolutely right. And as much shit as it gets, because it does catch a lot of shit from horror movie buffs. As much
Did you say Isaiah? Like who recorded the Blade Trinity with us on
the Blade
episodes?
trilogy. That's right. If you want to go back and listen to the previous episodes of the Blade trilogy, check out After the Credits at blah blah blah. Fucking Facebook shit, right? We're professionals. We know what we're doing. But yeah, it's as much shit as this movie catches. It's put together well. There are unnecessary scenes and like the ridiculous aspect of like, oh, let's dig this hole to put these bodies in. There just happens to be like a giant tube in this whole tunnel that leads out to like right off the property. And the guy that's burying these bodies and this alive person in this hole doesn't think like, oh, she's probably just gonna crawl through that fucking tunnel and get out and then come back and kill everyone with a shotgun and a shovel. Like that part, I was like, that's ridiculous. The idea of hiding the shotgun when they're trying to clean up murders by just putting it under the couch. It's like, yeah, no one's gonna find this here. Like no CSI people are gonna be like, oh, there's the murder weapon under that couch there. I mean, it played a role later in the film of her being able to find it. And I think she was just. I think they were in the process of cleaning up the crime scene, and she's just like, let's push it under.
Lucy went
Yeah.
upstairs. She kinda shoved it under there, and it
Was it done to hide it from her? Maybe.
I think you're right.
I just thought it was the silliness of cleaning up and like trying to hide the weapon. And
she
I
was.
think she was afraid Lucy was going to get it again.
Oh,
Shoot
okay.
her or shoot somebody else. I don't know.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's some questionable parts, but overall, I think it's I think it's a well put together movie.
The more I think about it, what makes a movie good for me?
Rob,
Oh,
you want to handle it?
What makes a movie good for me is when I think about it afterwards, and it kind of stays with me, you know. And when you were talking about the ladder, the part that I really thought was one of the best parts of the movie is when she goes down the ladder and she's looking into those rooms, and you see her expression, and your mind's like, okay, what is she seeing?
Yeah,
And sometimes it's better not to see in a movie,
Exactly,
to let
yeah.
your imagination go.
that makes for a good horror
I'm
movie
like,
if you.
what is going on behind those doors that they're not showing.
Yeah,
I thought
because
that
it's,
was one of my
it's
favorite
as
parts.
scary as
Yeah.
you think it could
It
be.
is,
Right.
yeah.
Right, and I
And-
mean, I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
Honestly, like there's some things that I would have done with that where you probably have like a
A
glimpse,
snippet of it, yeah. I was hoping they would.
but
Yeah, so,
When I
sometimes either
originally
not
watched
seeing it or just seeing a quick flash of it. Yeah,
Right.
but like I said earlier, when I realized that it was a good movie for me is when it sticks with me. Like I have a feeling on my ride home tonight.
That's what you're going to be thinking
I'll
about.
probably be like, "Holy crap, where am I at? I've never been in this area before. I hope I don't get down the wrong road." You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then so
And that's
I thought
what-
that part was really cool.
Cool.
And that's what Tyler and I talk about a lot. Like that's
If
why-
anyone else wants to give a scene, if you want to hand it over right now, we can. But Dylan, finish what you're
But, you
saying.
know,
I was-
yeah, I mean, the whole thing about movies, like why we like to talk about movies,
It's on your chair.
is it takes us out of everyday life, and you're not
Yeah.
worried about your basement flooding. You're not worried.
You've brought this
about-
up in like 4 different episodes, and I love it. I love
have,
it.
But
yeah.
that's why we do it. You're not thinking about how your boss is an asshole at work.
Yeah.
You're not thinking about like the stupid shit in life.
That's the make for a good movie. If it can
and-
take you out of your present
Right.
state
and like what you were saying is it's taking you out of that outside of just watching the movie. I mean, it's continuous. Benito.
what you got?
Okay,
Just
so
watch the
can you guys
cord.
hear me?
Yeah.
I didn't
yeah,
hear
yeah.
anything off.
Yep, you're good.
Okay, so here's where. So I've been watching horror movies for about 45 years,
Right.
and I own a special effects company for about 10 years. So for this movie, it asks that age-old question of what happens when you die. What do you see when you
Yeah.
die? What do you experience when you die?
Well, like they said, wars are created because of that question.
So the only problem that I have with this movie, with owning a special effects company for so long, like I have to pay attention to the story. I can't pay attention to the special effects
Right.
and graphic stuff. But the only problem that I have with this movie and movies like this is visually, it's doing something for people, but we never get a payoff. They drag us through the whole movie and they drag us through the whole story and they do friendship and loss and they do all these things, but we never get a payoff because we don't know what she saw. And so the problem with that is it's because nobody knows, but it's also, is it because the filmmakers don't have enough balls to
say
because they could be wrong? The problem is too many people have too many different ideas on what you do see or what you do experience.
So
These guys didn't answer a single question.
right.
And that's kind of the problem I have with that is it's the story's fun and you go through
Right.
it and you put yourself in the movie and you enjoy everything that's happening. But at the end, I didn't get a payoff.
So to play devil's advocate of it is the only reason I would slightly disagree is because without telling you what was said or what she saw, the reaction given by the priest who shot himself after hearing what she said and the reaction of the other people in the room who also heard what she said gives you without telling you, gives you an idea of how great and how epic it is, of whatever. It was so epic and so vastly insane that a man had to shoot himself in the mouth because of what he heard. So I mean, you could argue that
That he wanted to get there faster.
you could argue that
Yeah.
regardless.
I mean, my interpretation was that like
So-
he's a priest and
So you could argue that the reaction itself is the payoff without us knowing the actual words that were said. I get where you're coming from. Yeah,
Right.
I get that. I get that.
It is a tease.
But I'm
It's a
also
tease,
I'm
for
also
sure.
I
from the
understand that there's different ideas and different
Yeah.
thoughts that people have on it.
right.
They just
So for the
I'm also from the family of not I enjoy when I'm not spoon fed like and I enjoy both aspects, but I enjoy when I'm not spoon fed like when a movie ends and I'm not given everything that I wanted to, because I'm like, okay, well now you left me wanting, and you also like still entertain me to the point where I'm like thinking about it, like my dad said, thinking about it afterwards. And I think that's kind of what happened here. But I would have loved to hear what she said. I would have loved to hear what she saw.
Ted, you brought up a good point, because that was something I thought about too, was if the priest is so moved to commit suicide, then in my opinion, maybe he heard that there is nothing and his entire life's work has been a complete waste.
That's what I thought.
That's why
like,
these
what
kind
the
of his
fuck is the
reaction.
point?
He's like, I heard what she said, and then
Like,
he
I've
immediately
put
just
all
goes
this work
for it.
into doing all this shit, and I've
Right.
been this
All the
much of a
sacrifice.
shitty person killing all these people for what?
Right. And maybe I'm biased just with my own opinions of religion and things too.
That's where I went with it.
But that's kind of where I thought it was going.
That's why when I was hearing all the negative connotations with this film compared to the French one and all the people talking shit on it, is like one of the reasons that this is a good movie is because it's of exactly what we're doing right now. It invokes conversations and questions, and people view it the same with music. People can listen to a song and take two different completely opposite views behind the actual meaning of the song. It's the same with this movie. You can view it in one way and then talk to somebody else. I'm like, well, I thought actually that it was that's what makes a good movie. Regardless of your qualms with it compared to the original or how
Classic
how it ended
tomato,
or the
potato.
exactly, yeah. So yeah, is there any?
Oh, the whole thing rocks.
Yeah, I think we can probably just skip quotes because
Yeah. I mean, this wasn't
favorite
too
one
much of
was,
a quote.
The second one was boom.
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah.
You want ratings? You want to do ratings?
Yeah, let's do that.
So my rating for the movie officially 8.3.
Okay.
Let's fight. I haven't seen.
That's a very high rating.
I haven't seen.
I was going to say, give me your reasoning behind the.
I haven't seen the French. Also, the fact that it's a movie that gets like people talking in a room as much as what we're talking. Like we've been recording for 50 minutes.
That does not feel like that.
It doesn't. No, we're just all sitting around bullshitting about one movie.
Right.
It's done something, and I think that warrants at least a solid 2 or 3 points.
Yeah.
So
I would, having seen the original, I'm giving this about a 4.2 ish. And the main reason is because I've seen it done better. I've seen it done in a more cohesive, more put together, a more shocking way. This is a very, and there's no better way to say it. It's a very Americanized version of it. There's a lot of jump cuts and a lot of skipping over things that should be shown that are not shown. I enjoy it because I enjoy the first one, and that's the only reason I enjoy it. Not because it's a phenomenal movie, and I did say it's a good movie because it gets you talking. That's one of the good aspects of it, but not because it's a good film on its own. I think without the original Martyrs, if this movie came out by itself and I watched it, I would be like, I just wasted 82 minutes of my life. I would be really bummed about it. But knowing that it was inspired by, and when I get to the few things for trivia, I'll bring it up. But knowing that it was kind of, inspired by the original one, it's why I gave it a chance, and it's why I enjoyed it a little bit. But yeah, this is one of the lower movies like that I've ranked, or lower.
you have trivia?
A little, not much, but a little.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's my favorite part, everybody, is Tyler's trivia.
Do you know my favorite part that we can't do for this is when Dylan tells us about the first time he saw the movie that
This
we're
whole
watching.
thing is that.
So we're
This is
experiencing it. We're witnessing it now. But yeah, is there anyone else that wants to give like an honest rating of what they thought? 1 out of 10. Oh, here's Benito. He's -3.
Right. The only reason I'm even going to say anything is because you and I were so close when Dylan and I were outside on the porch talking about it. I said I gave it a 3.5 and a 4 for the last 20 minutes.
Hey, there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Nice, awesome.
I thought I was low. Nobody would agree.
Yeah, no. And again, I'm willing to bet that the reason you gave it that is because of your preconceived notion of the original when you're of seeing the masterpiece that is.
Yeah, fed good. And
Right. Yeah, exactly.
We'd have rated it about an hour in. I think everybody would have been thinking the same thing.
Yeah, right, yeah.
20 minutes, like, oh, okay.
For sure.
It jumped up a little bit.
Yeah. Anybody else want to give their honest rating, feedback on the
No,
film?
we want fucking Tyler's trivia.
Okay, I guess fine. So well, stick around. Stick around. We'll watch it. We want to do some paranormal investigation stuff with Harlan Darkland, but then I'm coming back in here and watching the French version. So trivia time. So the director claimed that this movie, and it makes it a little bit different for me, but the director claimed that this was more of a reimagining of this movie than a remake. It follows very strongly the overall plot and premise of the original one, but it's more of a reimagining from the side of the actual director. And what people should have known and should have heard before seeing the reimagining is that the directors came straight out and said that it was not going to be as violent or as graphic as the original. I don't know if, and most of the time when movies do that, they do that to be able to appeal to a little bit of a wider audience and a little bit of a little bit more people so they can get some butts in the seats to see the movie.
I feel like to get that $1 million of like funding to do the movie, they probably had to do that.
Right. So the producer of the original, Jason. The producer, Jason Blum of the original one, said that making the Martyrs 2008, said that remaking the 2008 version destroyed the original in every way, and that it was so that there was a lot of criticism of people who had their hands in the original movie, and he's basically stated that it should have never existed. This one that we just watched. So, like I said, it's pretty widely known by a lot of people and considered by a lot of people to be just not good. So it's technically an independent film. What really blew my mind about this is it was filmed and completed, which people who know backgrounds of how movies are made and stuff like that will say that they'll know how wild this is, but it was shot and fully edited and produced in less than 20 days.
What the fuck?
Which for a film, any film, independent or not, is pretty fucking crazy. It's wild. Yeah, so and we went over this before. The last thing I have is they wanted to really drive home that it's not a shot-for-shot remake. They wanted, and what I had read previously is that they wanted endorsements from the people, even just like some of the actors from the original, to give this props and to kind of help promote it a little bit. And all of them were like, and
kind of like Gene Wilder.
Gene Wilder, yeah. If you want to go back and listen to the Wonka episode, the Wonka verse trilogy that we did. Check that out on After the Credits. But yeah, similar to Gene Wilder with Johnny Depp, Willy Wonka. He was like, this should have never been made. It's going to destroy the original. All the actors, all the producers, the directors, everyone who had anything to do with the first one were like, fuck you. This should not be done.
I absolutely get that.
Yeah.
I mean, if there was like two punk ass kids like taking on the name After the Credits and fucking reviewing movies and shit, I'd be like, fuck you guys. Like, we did it fine the first time.
Yeah, there's no need for it to be redone in a different way.
Right. Like when you're
the best thing ever.
Or like,
yeah, might not have been good at all.
Or like,
but
when
it existed.
When you're washing the dishes and then your significant other like comes over and then re-washes them. It's like, fuck you. Like, it was okay.
But yeah, there wasn't much trivia for this, I think, because no one really gave a shit to dive deep into the actual trivia. But yeah, I mean, that's
honestly, I mean, regardless of how high or low of a score, I'm super happy that we got to do it though.
Yeah, Thank you guys all for joining us for this and watching the movie, love it or hate it. We really appreciate all of you. Coming out, and Josh from the Malvern Manor for letting us have it here. Rob from Whitmore for giving us a suggestion and riding my ass for fucking 2 years for a year to watch it. It was 100% worth it. 100% worth it. Yep. Yeah. Aww, thank you. And then also shout out to Heartland Darkland for doing the paranormal side of this. Which, speaking of, let's wrap this fucker up so we can go talk to some ghosts.
Yeah, let's go do it.
Sound good? All right. Love you guys, all of you. Thank you so much for showing up, and we will see you later. Okay, bye.
Yay!
I've been noticing it's gonna be
Ooh.